Alright, hey guys, so as if my collection tour wasn't enough of seeing these guys, I made this up to do, it's a YouTube tag, but I've turned it into the model horse tag, I guess. I don't know. I see everyone doing this my first tag, and I turned it into a model horse collection my first tag. So without further intro, it's going to be fairly obvious what's happening. Let's go. Okay, so I always get asked what my first artist resin is. You gotta realize I don't have a lot of those. That's why I always tell you to be careful what artist resins you choose to buy if you start. Don't just get them because they're the cheapest, because you know, once you get a little older and you might want to start showing them really well, you're gonna sell them, which is what I did. So, my first artist resin was, oh Lord, I'm trying to think of ones I have who was really first. I guess it was this guy. About the only one I kept from years and years ago. My first commission was this little guy. Back in like 2004, I think. I was 14. So that was my first artist resin commission. And my first custom was this guy. I got him off eBay. I don't show him anymore, but I've kept him for sentimental value. My first custom that I got, who is actually my big winner, was this guy. Excuse me while I adjust here. He has about 15 Nan cards from when I used to show him. I don't show him much anymore because I always forget his class. But I probably should start trying to remember him. I stopped packing him because I forget the classes and then it's pointless. So that was my first custom I ever owned. This is my first custom that ever really showed well for me. I had a bunch who did well, but I just meant as a whole he did the best. Okay, so now we're moving on. I left the hobby, took a break. I only had a few artist resins. I had like him and this guy. They were some of my first, mostly minis. So I took a big break from the hobby. I came back, and the first horse that I got, who got me back into artist resins, who really started it all back up, so he gets all the blame, was this Fabrizio. So he was my first purchase back into the hobby, and he's the one who started all the trouble. So that's him. That's the one I bought when I came back in. Then after I came back into the hobby, the first unpainted resin that I bought when I got back into the hobby was, and this is taking longer to move people around without killing them than I had hoped. I bought this girl unpainted because I wanted her to be a portrait of my mare because her face and everything is just identical. So this was my first unpainted resin purchase when I got back into the hobby. I was gonna stop there, you guys. I wasn't going to fully start collecting again because I had already sold off all my OFs and stuff, so I was like, I'm not gonna do this. I did it. My first real commission when I got back in the hobby was really this guy. I'm not even gonna try and take him down. We'll go everywhere. My first Sarah Mink was this Taboo. He was my very first Sarah Mink horse in my collection. He started the Sarah Mink stuff, followed by Tango. And it just was a downhill spiral from there. I mean, I guess it's an uphill, but for my money, it was a downhill. Let us see here. My first Elsie, because I always get asked this, was this one, the Pinto. She was my first. And coincidentally, I bet you can guess, give me 1 second to put her down without killing everyone else in this row, that Oliver was my first, Ollie was my first Oliver. Go figure, because since he goes with the mom. Alrighty. I always get asked who was my first traditional back into the hobby. I guess it would have to be her since I bought her unpainted first. But I don't truthfully remember. My first, well, yeah. My first and only big splurge, and a lot of you won't know this. A lot of you think I spend more money than I do. I always get people asking me how I spend thousands of dollars. I don't. I actually set a budget for myself. I tend not to go over it. I've missed out on some spectacular horses because of it, but I've kind of come to an agreement with myself and my boyfriend that there's just like a line I try not to go over, but I went over it on this guy. So this is my first big spend, I guess, and my really only that I've spent that much on, but I wasn't going to get a Lyrico any other way. So I would love to add another one someday, but a lot of people don't like Lyrico. Some of my friends didn't like Lyrico, but that is him. Let's see. I'm trying to think. My first roan in my collection was Stormy. My first, I always get asked who was my first horse to show well. I don't remember who that is. I'm trying to think what resin I had that showed well first, but I don't remember, guys. I'm sorry. Let's see, my camera's about to die. That's fantastic. My first Cobra mare was Esperanza. She was my first Cobra mare. And, let's see. My first Eberl was her. My first Sarah Rose, I actually think was this guy, if my memory serves correctly. This is my first Sarah Rose piece. I always get asked my first time payment too. I don't remember. Almost all of these were bought on time payments, so have your pick at who is first. I don't know. And I get asked a lot more about customs, but I can't show you a lot of my first from customs because it's really pointless because I sold 90% of them off. I don't have a lot of my first. I still have him, my first big winner, and him, my first one ever. But I don't have any more of those. My first imp was this little one. It was a commission right before Cindy went out of the hobby. My first conga was Elsie and Oliver. Oliver started first, followed by Elsie. So I hope you enjoyed this. I really can't think of much more to say. If you want me to do another one of these, leave some of my firsts that you want to know below.